So at the time of recording this video, a new season of Big Brother is getting ready to kick off for all of us to watch. And I've been watching the show since 2000. I really have been there since the beginning. And I did miss a few seasons in the middle because it got a little problematic. That's a nice way of putting it. If you know, you know. I've really loved the show despite its problems, but I do think there are problems with the show. And so I kind of wanted to give you my thoughts on how I would like to see the show improve and evolve. So without further ado, let's get into it. So number one on my list is I would love to see Big Brother really change the format of the live show. So this could be done in a few different ways. Now, I think you could either go back to a previous format of how you did the live show, or you could kind of change it entirely. But the biggest issues I have with the live show with Big Brother is it's just too much dead air time. And I don't mean that they're not airing anything. I mean, there's just too much fluff in the live show. We're seeing people celebrate in the hallways like they've won the playoffs. We're seeing people give compliments to Julie ad nauseum. We're seeing people do a vote that is a landslide vote with absolutely no tension and no drama. But we have to see 12 people stroll one by one into the diary room session live just to tell them they're all getting rid of the same person. Now, the first thing that I think you could do is you could just totally eradicate the live voting aspect of the live show. Now, you can keep the live show. I think that Big Brother should have a live element to it once a week, but I don't think that we need to have a live vote if the vote is not close. If it's a landslide vote, the producers know, and we don't need to watch that, in my personal opinion. I'd rather save that time for an extended interview with the evicted house guests. I'd rather save that time. Let's go back to how we did it in the past. If you're old enough to remember how earlier seasons of Big Brother unfolded, you actually would have a system in place for the live show where the two house guests that were up for eviction would have their families get airtime on the show. And so we would kind of cut to, so-and-so's family in Wisconsin, so-and-so's family in Orlando, Florida, and they would just be giving us information about that particular house guest, why the family is excited to root for them on the show and hoping that they actually stay to be able to win the money. And we would just get more background information of where these house guests came from, where they originated from in terms of their upbringing and their close family and friends. And I think that Big Brother overall is missing that element of feeling like we have a stronger understanding of who the contestants are and why they're there. You could even do something that you did in the past. I don't know how consequential it is now, but there used to be a time on the live show where Julie would do a short solo interview with just the head of household. And she would always make sure to say,
"Now, just a reminder, the other house guests cannot hear our conversation, so you can be candid, okay?"
Excellent.
Great.
She would ask him questions like, how hard was it to put somebody on the block?
It was a tough week, and it ultimately came down to I just have to trust Roddy is going to be an ally in this game.
How hard was it to maybe backstab somebody, lie to somebody, and end up actually backdooring them to get them on the block? So you just get a little bit more insight because even though we have the diary room sessions, there really are kind of rare opportunities to really get into the mindset of what a person is really thinking on the show. And so I think that gives you just another avenue to do so. All right, so the next thing on my list is to please take it easy on the restrictions when it comes to the live feeds. Now, I'm of two minds about this. First, I understand that at some point the feeds do have to go down. That's an inevitable thing. I think we all, if we're being honest, even the most devout, passionate Big Brother fan understands that, right? But the feeds now are at a point, in large part, in my opinion, because of social media, backlash, news articles being written about something that somebody said that was racist, something that somebody said that offended somebody else, not wanting to hurt the relationships with sponsors that are putting ads both on the internet for the show and obviously in the actual TV show broadcast episodes. So there's a whole financial apparatus that is part of the reason why we have a lot of restrictions when it comes to the live feeds, in terms of feeds going down, feeds cutting to fish and cats, in another room. I think that it would be really nice if we can get back to a place where we cannot be so quick to hide things, to skirt things under the rug by cutting the feeds off. I get that we're not going to air people having sex and things like that, but I just would love to see Big Brother get a little bit more back to the social experiment thing. People say offensive things. People say things that are a little bit impolite. It's also leading, in my opinion, to bad will amongst fans for the actual product of Big Brother. Because if you're cutting feeds, seemingly for things that seem like they should be aired, they're not overwhelmingly detrimental. Nobody is putting out anybody's personal information, for example. It just, to me, seems like it leads to bad will amongst fans for the product of Big Brother, because now we're thinking, or at least I'm thinking to myself, well, what y'all hiding? I'm talking about like the producers. What y'all hiding over there? What's going on? Are y'all fixing stuff for certain people? What's happening here? Transparency is always good. And I think the same thing for Big Brother, which is an entertainment product. These aren't government secrets here. That is probably something that I really would like to see change. Lift the ironclad fist of restriction from the live feeds. And I think it will make for a better game, a better watch, and more goodwill for the fans towards the Big Brother product. All right, so number 3 on my list for things that I would like to see change when it comes to Big Brother. This one, I don't know how many of y'all gonna rock with this. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know how many of y'all gonna like this. I really don't, but listen, it's just me and you, right? It's just me and you here. We need a new host. We need a new host. Listen, I find Julie Chen to be nostalgic, right? Big Brother's very first season aired while I was still in high school, okay? So, you can do the math. I have nostalgia for Julie Chen in many ways, along with Jeff Probst, kind of being the face of reality television's birth, right? Like, I remember still Julie Chen, hosting Big Brother with contestants like Curtis and Brittany and Will Mega and Chicken George and Eddie. I go all the way back to the first season of Big Brother, which was not good. The second season was great, but the first season was not good. But I still remember being captivated by the show. And so I have a lot of appreciation for Julie for that. But the reality is, in my opinion, Julie Chen is perfect for something more serious than Big Brother. And she's admitted, in no uncertain terms, that she kind of wanted to be somebody that was, on the next host of 60 Minutes, or one of the next journalists on 60 Minutes, for example. I think actually Julie Chen has a really great personality. I never really watched the talk, but I saw like some clips and it seemed like she really let her hair down. I think you need that kind of a Julie Chen. If you want to keep her, I think Julie Chen really needs to loosen up and let her hair down. But in general, I just think we need a host that is, one, more plugged into the show. I don't find Julie Chen to be that plugged into the show. I just got to be honest. Say what you want about Jeff Probst, but I feel like Jeff is dialed into Survivor. And you might even say too much. Like, you might even say, like, Jeff Probst, it feels like he plays favorites, right? But I feel like Jeff is really plugged into Survivor. He's plugged into the legacy of it, the history of it, and he just is always aware of where all the pieces are moving on the board in Survivor, and he's really great at getting people to open up, expand on their thought process for why they made certain decisions. Overall, I think Jeff Probst is a great host. But I also think Jeff Probst's personality fits Survivor. Big Brother, to me, is the ultimate chess game. That's why I love the show. It's the ultimate strategy game. You're playing chess, but with human pieces. But Big Brother is also a silly game. It's ridiculous. It's juvenile, right? You'll have punishments where we crank up a thing and a big old boot kicks you in the ass. This is the kind of show that we have, right? Farting competitions and, slipping off of walls with colored goo coming down from the skies. Like, you need, in my opinion, a host that has the ability to be able to be serious enough to engage the contestants and obviously control the game from a hosting perspective, but be more personable, be more silly, be more laid back. I almost think that you need somebody that's like a mix of Jeff Probst and Mark Summers from Double Dare. I have respect for what Julie Chen means to Big Brother and the reality TV shows history, but I think it's long overdue for Julie Chen to exit out of Big Brother and us to be able to get a better host that's more dialed into the show, but also has a bit more of a lighthearted, fun side that they can bring to the show on a consistent basis. All right, so number 4 on my list is I really want to see older people be able to compete on Big Brother. Now, when reality television first came aboard TV in 2000, one of the things that I think was a really interesting promise for the whole concept of the genre was we were going to take these strangers from various walks of life and we're just going to kind of just throw them into a house, throw them onto an island. And they're just going to have to coexist, right? And it's like, okay, you're from this part of the country, and you're from this part of the country. You're black, you're white, you're straight, you're gay, and you're young, you're old. And I feel like, especially over the past few years, they've done a better job with the diversity, and you really needed to, because it was bad. It was really bad for a while. But I don't think that diversity has transferred over enough when it comes to age. So I think that, we used to have in the past contestants like Kent, contestants like Jerry. Even Chicken George was a little bit older than previous contestants. There aren't enough older people that consistently play the game. And I think when they do, it makes it a better show. It makes it a more interesting show to watch. Suri and Felicia playing Big Brother was an interesting contrast to, America and Corey and all these other young folks that were in the game. I think it makes for a better game, and it makes for us as viewers more interesting to be able to see how people are able to adjust their strategy when you're not just only competing against people who look like you, and you're also not just only competing against people that are in your same age bracket. Because the reality is, it's probably going to be harder to be able to finesse a 50-year-old person than to be able to lie and cheat your way around somebody that's 22 years old. Plus, you also have to really be able to appreciate and give respect to somebody that, say, is 50 or 60 years old, and they're able to kind of align themselves with younger folks and, strategize with them and gain their trust and make them also feel that you as an older person are an asset to their game. And so number 4 on my list would be, I would love to see more older contestants be able to play Big Brother. All right, now here's number 5 on my list. Now, I don't know how logistically possible this is to do, but I would love for us to be able to see live competitions on the live feeds. Maybe they have to bump it up in terms of having it be a payment tier. So maybe you just pay a little bit more money to be able to have access to watch the live competitions. You know how fun it was to be able to tune into Big Brother and watch the pressure cooker for like 17 hours or whatever it was? Like, wasn't that fun? You know, it's one thing to get the edited version of the live competitions, but, you know, some of these live competitions last for hours, you know, and that doesn't really transfer well when they just kind of air it on CBS for 3 minutes and they edit it all together with some music. And I don't know how possible this is, because I'm sure there are production elements that probably wouldn't make it a bit weird and off-putting if maybe they are repeating certain instructions to house guests, if house guests maybe occasionally are false starting and they're going back, and maybe it would be kind of maybe it's an untenable thing. I don't know, but I think if we could watch competitions live on the live feeds, man, I think that would be a pretty exciting thing. All right, and so my last one on this list, kind of a little smaller bonus thing that I would love to see implemented into Big Brother is I would love to see Big Brother find a way to integrate their history with their former contestants, especially with their legendary players. I really feel like Survivor does a better job with this. And again, I also think that this is a little bit tied to the host too. I think that Jeff Probst on Survivor will regularly bring in the discussion of Boston Rob, and he'll talk about poverty, and he'll talk about Rupert, and he'll talk about Sandra, and you know, he's just really plugged in. And I also think that from a producing standpoint, in terms of how they put the show together, you will often see contestants, especially early in the game, talking about, well, I'm here because of Suri. Suri really inspired me to want to come out here, right? You know, I really, really liked Ozzy and how athletic he was climbing trees on Survivor and stuff like that. I just don't feel like that weight carries over into Big Brother and its contestants. And maybe part of it is because you're casting people on from social media, people who have lots of followers. It's not quite the same as it used to be, where you would send in an actual videotape and you would, you know, put your audition on tape, or you would go wait in a long line. I'm sure that still happens, but the point is that when that was happening all the time, you had to have been inspired to be on the show based upon somebody who played previously. And now that doesn't always have to be the case. You might just want to be on the show because a producer from a show called Big Brother that you've not really heard of asked you to be on the show. And so you probably are like cramming to even understand what the show is, let alone to know who previously played on it. I would just love a way for Big Brother to implement their legends, implement their history into the game, instead of just possibly once in a while bringing in Janelle to, you know, have her voice be heard in a competition, or bringing in Dr. Will to host the sit down with the actual jury members. I think there's a better way to really, pay respect to the people that paved the way in the game, actually impacted the game's trajectory in terms of how people play the game, strategize within the game. So that's it. Those are my thoughts on how I would improve Big Brother. It was a little bit of a longer video than I expected, but hopefully you found it to be entertaining. So if you enjoyed this video and you like Big Brother, please hit that like button down below. I always appreciate it whenever people do that. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel as well. If you like television, if you like movies, if you like reality television, if you like pop culture, then I would love to have you on board as a subscriber, trying to grow this channel, and every person counts. So once again, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I will see you in the next video.